in today's demonstrations, and I'll have 3 demonstrations for you, the idea is that I'm going to show you how to apply faster insights and get better business outcomes. So in the first, I'll show you how you can use Data Exchange's native integration with AWS Glue DataBrew. And we'll do that to reduce the amount of time it takes you to analyze, profile and transform those data sets. In the second example, John and Jonathan's businesses both take advantage of location data in different ways, like Planet Fitness check-ins or assessing real estate locations. So in that theme, I want to show you how you can work with geolocational data on AWS. And finally, finishing up, I want to show you how you can very quickly load data into Amazon's data warehouse service, Redshift.
First, let's take a look at AWS Data Exchange's native integration with Glue DataBrew. I've already subscribed to a product here, and if I select my COVID-19 well-confirmed cases, I can see my product within that, I can see my data set, and I can see a series of incremental revisions. If I select that top revision, you can now see the assets here. And if I select that top CSV file, you now get some export actions available to you, and we're able to prepare with AWS Glue DataBrew, and that's what we're going to do today. So we'll select that option. Next, you're prompted for an Amazon S3 bucket to download that data, and you're prompted to select any folders or encryption options. From there, we'll select Prepare. Once that data has been successfully downloaded to an Amazon S3 bucket, we'll then get the option to view this data in AWS Glue DataBrew, and let's do that. This is AWS Glue DataBrew, and the service is intended to help you understand and profile your data, alongside giving you the ability to conduct simple extraction, transformation and load with point and click type simplicity. When you load from AWS Data Exchange, you'll see the dataset details at the top of the screen, including information like any delimiters, the format and the data size. At the bottom of the screen, you can see a preview of your data set, and that comes in a couple of different formats. Here you can see a grid of the data. Next you can see a schema exposing the first 5 records of data, but you can also see this in text and tree formats. Today we'll be focusing on ETL type tasks. So we'll move to the top of the screen and select Create a project with this data set. First, we'll provide the project with a name. Next, we get to choose information about the recipe. And the recipe is the different steps that may be contained within your ETL process. Today, we'll create a new recipe. We've already selected our data set, but as you can see, you can import new data sets or use sample files. And next we have some options around sampling, tags and permissions. Sampling, we're going to leave default and just sample the first 500 rows of this data. Tags, again we'll leave default, but we will choose a permission to run with this particular project. There we'll click Create Project. Whilst this project loads, I'm going to pause the video and we'll return so I can show you how to create basic recipes. Now that our project's loaded, you can see the first 500 rows of our sample data, and you can see information about the individual fields, such as the field title, the type of field, and information about the actual data within the fields, such as the total rows, the unique values and the distinct values. And here you can see the individual distinct values and their distribution. Moving over to different types of fields, you can see dates are represented here in unique and distinct values, and numbers. Here you can see the spread, the median and the mean and the mode of this particular field. Looking at the different functions and filters we can use, we can apply filters for missing values or valid values with conditions. We can apply column actions such as renames, duplicates and other things. We can format, clean and extract, and in terms of cleansing data, you have a number of functions here, like the removal of special characters or consecutive white space. Equally, we can add prefixes or suffixes to our data or replace individual elements. Other things we can do is fill with custom values particular missing rows, so backfill, or identify duplicates within our data set. Maybe we wish to enhance it. With these next set of options, we can do things like create an additional column based on a function or a flag column. We can add functions, and we can begin to work with the data within individual fields, conducting actions such as nesting or unnesting, pivoting, grouping, joining, or unions. Finally, we have the ability to use functions like encoding, mapping, scaling, and texting. To apply these changes, we can select an individual column and choose an action, and here we'll rename this particular column continent with a capital letter. We can preview those changes and click apply. Number 2. Once we've applied those changes, we can now see that we have the first step in our recipe. As we choose more and more transformations of this data, maybe dropping null fields to save on storage, you'll now see that we have a developing transformation process. Once we're happy and we have all of the steps in our transformation, we can choose create job to begin the process of transforming this data. We'll provide the job with a name. Next, we'll need to choose an S3 output location. Once we've chosen that location, we can scroll to the bottom, provide the relevant privileges to conduct this run, and select create job and run. If that's been successful, you'll soon see a job waiting to run in the jobs section of AWS Glue DataBrew. Check the status of that job, and once complete, you should now have a transformed dataset available to you in your destination bucket.